What's up, guys? It's Alex at Tackle World. I have the pleasure of being here with Craig from Staal. We just filmed a very informative video series covering the full lineup of reels that we cover from Staal, and now we want to ask him a couple of questions. We're sure a lot of you guys have some questions, and who better to field them than Craig himself. So the first question we want to discuss with him is what sets Staal reels apart from the competition, and why should our customers opt for these reels?
First, Alex, thanks for inviting me into Tackle World. Appreciate what you guys do. But Staal was created not to fall on a page in the catalog at a price point. Staal was created to solve a problem, and the problem was durability, right? So we were the first people to ever machine a reel, first people to ever make a waterproof reel, right? So it was about functionality and durability. So when you look at other reels on the market, there's a lot of functional product out there. What we've tried to do is just make the most durable product. So when you're ready to fish, everyone's really busy, is that you grab your rod and you're ready to go, the fish are on the beach. The Staal is gonna be one of the reasons why you're successful. It's gonna be ready to fish when you are.
Got it. Awesome. So you touched upon waterproofness in the reels, and that's something we hear a lot about, when we're selling reels to customers. And lately there's been a lot of new reels coming out claiming waterproof, IPX ratings. Can you touch upon what makes these reels waterproof and what it really means for a Staal reel?
Sure. So, and you're right, there's sealed and there's waterproof, right? So there's a lot of reels that are sealed, but are they waterproof? Can you fish them underwater? And I can only speak on the Staal, but this reel is designed, the X2 reels, to be fished underwater. So we have the 8 seals keeping the oil in and the water out. Those are engine oil seals. So they're very durable. They're tested to ensure to be watertight, and it's going to reduce that service that you have to do throughout the year. But when you buy an X2 reel, you could expect that this reel is completely waterproof.
Got it, got it. Now, in terms of the service, what kind of servicing are our customers going to need to be doing for these reels? And is it typically an easy process? And I'm sure Staal has a very robust program where they can send their reels in and everything like that.
And thanks for asking that question, because we have a service program that goes through authorized service and warranty centers. Go to vanstaal.com and you go to the warranty center or the warranty tab, and it'll have all the centers listed. And people say, am I supposed to service them every year? When Staal first started, there was a program that mandated you send the reels back for service every year. So unless you're submerging that reel and fishing it underwater, so you're tight, the reel's under load, you're fishing it underwater, I would say send it back every year.
Okay.
There's only a few things you have to do with the Staal to keep it fishing, and it's keeping the oil seals wet. I always say that a seal that goes dry fails quickly. A seal that's wet will last a very long time, right? So there's 2 seals. What you're going to do on a Staal is remove the handle, and you're going to see one of the first oil seals right here where the gear shaft exits the body. There's an engine oil seal there, and you would use like a heavier oil, like an 85-90W Castrol is something that I use. You buy a quart, it'll last a lifetime for you and all your friends. You're going to put a drop of oil there, wet that seal, wipe off the excess, and thread the handle back on. The other place you would want to do that is on the gear shaft. I'm sorry, on the main shaft. You're going to put a drop of oil right where the main shaft meets the rotor, and just turn that handle a few times to wet the quad seal. Remember, a seal that's wet lasts, I'd like to say forever, but a very long time. And you don't need to service your reels until you think you need that. So if you start to feel it binding up a little over the lifetime, send it in. And with that service for $49.95, we go in and change all the seals and get it back up to warranty standards.
Got it. So what's the typical lifespan on a Staal reel?
Well, the first reels we made in '92, many of them are still fishing.
Yeah.
So the expectation is that you buy it once and it's going to last forever.
Right, right. Got it. No, we've definitely come to see that selling them. We sell a ton of Staal reels, and people are always happy with them. They keep them for a long time. In terms of the Staal reels, really prominent during the striper run down the beach in the fall. What other kind of fishing could you do with a Staal reel? I know we have the introduction of the fast gear reels. tons of options available, as you guys could see in our display. So tell us a little bit about, say you're not a striper guy, maybe you're a fluke guy. There's a lot of applications, right?
Sure, and that's why Van Staal has expanded since 1992 when we came in with the resurgence of striped bass. So it's become, because of the features and benefits of the brand being ultra rigid machine waterproof, it's become popular through so many different fishing situations, from fluke, jigging blackfish, the new VR 75 and 50 being a really fast reel that allows you to catch some of those faster species where you need speed, like albies, false albacore, school tunas. We've expanded that species away from striped bass. Right. So when you look at the range, we have the VSX2 and the VR series, right? The VR series is the lightest waterproof sealed reels ever made that have much more boat applications to them, right? Right. So if you want to have that, you're running to your favorite place and those reels are on the windward side of the boat that are getting wet all the time. Yeah. That's the benefit of having a sealed waterproof reel, right? Just reduces the maintenance. But from tuna, striped bass, all your fluke, sea bass, blackfish jigging, we've got a reel that fits into every one of those scenarios.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we definitely see that here. We have a great selection, and regardless of what you guys are fishing for, we definitely have a Van Staal that's going to suit you. When it comes to options, sometimes it can get a little congested and people get a little overwhelmed. One of the biggest things that we notice, and you don't really need to be specialized to know this, some come with a bail, some don't have a bail. Can you elaborate a little bit on why one might want to go with a bailed version versus a bailless and the advantages of that?
And when we started, it was always a bailless reel, right? So when you look back at the legendary surf reels like the Crack, the Luxor, even like the Penn 706 had that bailless operation. And it really fits into what Van Staal is all about. And it's being minimalist. Form follows function, right? So when you're in the most extreme environments like we fish in and live our little world in, so when a wave knocks you off a rock and you got to get back on before the next set comes, if you have a bail on it and you slam that reel down to jump on a rock, one of the first things to fail is the bail, right? And anyone who's purchased a $30 plug and that first cast with the bail, they cast it out and the bail snaps over, and you donate that to the sea, it becomes expensive. So the bailless reel is not only ultra simple, nothing to fail. It's a titanium bail roller with 2 double sealed bearings in it, so it's always going to operate. It eliminates failure points, but more importantly, it eliminates that chance of snapping off any lures. Right. And what we'll do later in this discussion is we'll show you how to use that bailless operation, but it eliminates snapping lures off. When you're really loading up and casting, you don't have to worry about that bail coming back.
We've all been there.
And you know what? It comes down to comfort, right? So guys are like, oh, well, if I get my first Van Staal, I've never used one, I don't know if I could do it. We make reels with bails on it, right? So this is the bailless operation is ideal when you're throwing artificial lures. But when you're live baiting fish, there are times that a bail is very effective, right? So you open the bail and you let that fish swim off, you put a little pressure on it, and when a fish eats it, you flip the bail and you hit them. Yep. With a bailless operation, you could do it. I've caught many bluefin tunas and yellowfin tunas. By doing that, you'd have to drop the rod tip and grab the line and put it on the roller. But it comes down to comfort, and there's a certain fear factor. So we've made that bail mechanism that is nearly impossible to get that bail from flipping over from casting it, right? It has that spring mechanism is forcing all that energy back, so it does not come forward and snap over. Yeah. But it's really a comfort thing. So there's no right and wrong answer to that. Right, it comes down to how comfortable are you, and check out the video on how to use the bailless reel, because I think if you've been fishing a long time, it's a pretty simple process and it eliminates 15 to 17 parts that anytime you can eliminate a part, you eliminate something that could fail.
Right. Now that's the main selling point that I've understood, is that when you get rid of that mechanism, less things to go wrong, less things to fail, just a more durable and robust reel. but just great information overall. We definitely want to pick your brain about some rod selections and everything. I think
Sure.
we could run out from behind the counter, grab a couple of our shop rods and a couple of our favorite manufacturers, and pair them up and show you guys how these pair up with your favorite surf rods, inshore rods, a variety of stuff, guys. So stay tuned. So one of the biggest things we notice with the Van Staal reels that are absolutely stunning when you come in the store, the display is lit up and people love them. They're eye-catching pieces. But another thing that we notice is the price point, Craig.
Sure.
They are up there in price, so we want to know, how does Van Staal stack up in terms of the price and how do we justify that investment?
Right. When you look at what we do at Van Staal, the amount of man hours in a reel is tremendous in comparison to other products that are cast, and we machine every part. So the man hours of someone taking that billet aluminum, going in, fixturing it, and cutting it, then having to sonicate it, buff it, sonicate it, anodizing. And remember, it's to exacting tolerances. When you make a reel that's sealed and waterproof, you can't just mold parts, right? You have to machine them to exacting tolerances so your bearing seats, your seals fit properly to keep that water intrusion out, right? So there's a tremendous amount of time, but you have your man hours, but then you also have what the reels are made out of. So our tagline is no limitations. And that really comes from the engineering design and the materials chosen to make the reel. So this is all out of aeronautics grade aluminum, 6061 T6, okay? So that's a very pure, rigid aluminum. And then you have your solid stainless steel gears, so 440C and 14-7 pH material that is very expensive, hard to cut, and we're hobbing that material in a spiral bevel design. So you add the titanium main shaft and the titanium line roller, you have a very costly reel in just man hours and materials to put those together.
Right, and along with that, there is a warranty program and a great service option that we touched upon earlier. So it's a real nice complete package for the price, right?
Yes. So when you look at most other reels on the market that are going to be used in the toughest environment out there, these reels are going to outlast the competition. And it's just by the way they're made and designed. Remember, like we talked about braided line on reels, right? In '92, when they were created, it was actually braid ready, but braid wasn't there. So when braid got on the market, we could put braid right on this reel without any alterations, because you had your titanium shaft, so ultra rigid with no flex in this thing, right? Then you have your gear set that was capable of solid stainless steel, so you weren't going to strip any gears because the immense amount of pressure braided line puts on reels, and it was from that initial design that made it capable for these reels to just step right into the braided world.
Right.
All right, but that investment, when you look at other reels, if you're going to go into the surf, you're going to buy a reel that you want to last a long time, you think of the cost of one reel compared to the 5, 6, 7 reels you would have to purchase in your lifetime.
Yeah.
The Van Staal is the best value on the market.
Exactly, and we touched upon, the frame material, the shaft, and everything. A big consideration our buyers have here is the drag system. We hear a lot about drag washers and carbon fiber. I'm sure Van Staal has a really high-end system in there. If you could tell us a little bit about what's going on in the drag system.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to remove this spool to show you what this looks like. So on the VS50, you have 25 pounds of drag, but then when you get to the 100, 150, you have 30 pounds of drag. From the 200 through the 300, you have 42 pounds of drag. So a tremendous amount in a very simple sealed design. So when I show you this drag cartridge goes through the spool. So if you can imagine this, the drag goes through, we press a bearing, it rides on 2 bearings. So this pressed bearing, the spool hub goes through and gives you all the rigidity. So there's no movement in that drag system. It stays very rigid. We have 2 seals, top and bottom, and then your stack up carbon fiber drag washers that's self-lubricating inside the sealed mechanism.
Right. So it really seems like every inch, every aspect of the reel has just been built from the ground up to be super durable, a surf caster's dream, you know, made to be used in that harsh saltwater environment and just keep on going with minimal service needed, minimal maintenance. What would you say people need to be doing to maintain them? Is this something you need to be rinsing off? Because we hear a lot about that in the store.
Yep. And
So-
you know what? I've seen things on YouTube that make me cringe. All you need to do with the Van Staal is hit it with a light spray when you come back.
Right.
And like we had mentioned before, is removing that handle, putting a little Hypoid or 85 W90 on the seal where the gear shaft comes out and the titanium shaft.
Right.
Turn that, keep the seals wet, and you're going to be fishing that reel for a lifetime.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, we've been loving them, guys. We sell them a lot. You guys absolutely love them. So we're super happy to have Craig here to go through the ins and out with us. I've had a ton of questions. I'm sure you guys did too. So Craig, thank you so much for
You're very welcome.
answering all of our questions and telling us why I need a new Van Staal, and I'm sure you guys do
Or
too
two.
as well. Exactly. All right, cool. So Craig, there's this old verbiage, what's not broken, you shouldn't fix it, but we've seen an introduction of these new fast geared reels. Tell us a little bit about why you guys have done that and what the application is of these new reels.
Sure. And I had mentioned earlier, you know, Van Staal started because of the resurgence of striped bass, right? And this fishery, traditionally, when Van Staal started, was all live eels, needlefish, things that people would say, like Habs, who made one of the first needlefish that was a classic in Muso, is if you're not going slow enough and you're not bored, you're not going slow enough, right? So speed in that when you're fishing striped bass at night is not important, okay? Unless you're fishing an inlet on the Moon Tide, the Cape Cod Canal, where you're trying to get a jig to the bottom and that bottom starts to come up, it's rocky and sticky, you're fishing the bottom, it scopes out in the tide, now you got to get your jig back without losing it, right? So that speed in the striped bass market is important, along with top water. So on the original 300 Van Staal, it was only 29 inches per turn. So when you're trying to fish a pencil popper with that, it was
Right.
arduous at best. So when we moved to like the 250, where we went to a 4.25 to 1 gear ratio with the larger spool, you're at 36. It became more more comfortable to fish a topwater lure in some of the inlets. The new fast reels add 8 inches to each one of those models. So it's really dynamic when you're fishing that. And as
Right.
more Van Staal customers start to travel the world and fish, like I was just down in South Florida and we were throwing topwater baits at black tip sharks and jack crevalles that demand fast retrieve, right? So two things. First, rile them up. Now it's effortless to do it. Before, it was so hard to keep that bait up. Now with these higher retrieves, it's effortless to keep your bait in front of the fish. And what makes that important is that you get more than one shot at them. So a big fish comes up, misses your plug, you could reel, get it back in front of them and feed them again. So that's really been the dynamic thing that over the last year and a half in development of that reel, and now that we're fishing them out there, it's a game changer on those faster reels. And the way we design that is you don't lose that cranking power, right? Because a lot of that speed comes from the spool diameter.
Right.
Okay, so you keep your cranking power and you get that added speed to give you more chances of coming tight. And let's admit that's what we do this for, right?
That's what we
Everyone
want.
wants to hear the drag going out. And FX2 reels are going to give you more opportunities to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we got them, guys. They're in stock now, so make sure you stop in the store or check us out online at tackleworld.com for any of your Van Staal needs, from the VRs, the VSs, the 2s, everything, guys, pliers. We even got Craig here today, so what more could you ask for? Thank you so much, Craig.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Always a
it.
pleasure.
Yes, sir.